Okay, verdict time. Who do I think is winning the Premier League in 2021? Now, it's a really tough call, but I'm gonna go for... Right, so this is the second time I am recording this video now because originally when I put it onto my laptop it only exported 8 seconds of the video apparently, and then I went to delete the file without knowing it had done so, meaning I had no video, but yeah, we digress. But yeah, welcome to this video now, which is of course who will win the Premier League title in the Premier League season of 2020-2021. Now it's a very interesting topic because the Premier League title race this season actually does look like the most entertaining title race in terms of the amount of teams that are in it that we've had in quite a long time in the Premier League, because I can't remember the last time we've actually had more than 2 or 3 teams in a Premier League title race for a very long time. And yeah, that added on to the fact as well that this has been an absolutely unbelievable start to this new Premier League season. I mean, there's been an absolute avalanche of goals and there's been some really shock results, like the fact that Aston Villa beat Liverpool 7-2, even the fact that Leicester went to the Etihad and put 5 past City as well. And that's only a handful of the actual shock results we've had in the Premier League so far this season. But essentially what I'm going to be doing in this video is going through all the potential Premier League title contenders for this season. And yeah, at the end of this video I'll give an overall verdict as to who I think will be the Premier League champions at the end of the season. And yeah, what better place to start than the current Premier League champions and holders in Liverpool Football Club. Now they of course have suffered a major blow in the recent weeks, knowing that Virgil van Dijk is injured at least till the end of the season, probably more than that as well. I mean, that is an absolutely monumental blow to Liverpool's team because in my personal opinion, and to public opinion as well probably, he is their most important player by a country mile. And without Virgil van Dijk in that Liverpool team, they look like a completely different team. But I would argue even as well, even with Van Dijk in the team, at the start of the season Liverpool have looked very vulnerable defensively. I mean, they've conceded 13 Premier League goals already, which is just mental for a Premier League champion. I mean, that 7-2 loss to Aston Villa obviously stands out like a sore thumb. They also managed to concede 3 goals at Anfield to Leeds United on the opening day of the season, so they are very gettable defensively. And to be fair, they probably are going to look at the likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, maybe even Roberto Firmino, even though he has kind of been off the boil for a while. But those 3 are probably going to be the 3 main players that dig Liverpool out of danger time and time again and earn them the points where they perhaps might not get points. Which are the main reason why I feel like Liverpool still have to be known as title contenders, if not the Premier League favourites this season, is purely because of the fact that they won it last season when the odds were stacked against them. They obviously didn't sign anyone last summer and still managed to get 99 points, which is just not easy to do by any means. And the fact as well that they have a world-class manager in Jurgen Klopp, in my personal opinion the best manager in the world of football. They also have some world-class players all over the pitch, which they've managed to add to as well, in the likes of Thiago, a £25 million midfielder who in my opinion is world-class, and also Diogo Jota as well, who I think will be a very capable understudy for the likes of Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah if they do get injured. And now the second team that I have contending for the Premier League title this season, and that is of course Manchester City. I mean, who else? Now if I'm being perfectly honest, I thought Manchester City at the start of the season, if any of you guys watched my Premier League predictions video for this season, I did think Manchester City would win the league this season, but not by a country mile. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I actually do have my doubts still about Manchester City because they don't seem to have learned the lesson from last season. They don't look half as sharp and half as hungry for success as they did in the 18-19 season. And to be honest, they don't look as driven or desired to actually win trophies since Vincent Kompany left. I mean, that is an absolutely monumental blow in the dressing room, and to be probably honest, they have probably lack leadership in the dressing room now since Kompany's gone. Another thing I think that might hinder Manchester City slightly this season, or even massively this season, is the fact that they don't tend to have a great injury record, especially with their key players. I mean, Aymeric Laporte was gone for a large part of last season, and for this season as well, he's been gone for quite a bit. Kevin De Bruyne has had his fair share of injuries over the last few weeks. Sergio Aguero's only just come back from injury, and to be honest, you probably expect him to get injured at least once or twice more this season. And of course, their understudy to Gabriel Jesus has been ruled out for injury for quite some amount of time as well. So you think if they miss Jesus and Aguero, they have no recognised number 9, which is always going to hurt any team. And in my opinion, they still don't have a proper left back because Benjamin Mendy's, there's just too many mistakes in there. I know they bought Nathan Ake, but he's mainly a centre back. Even though he could do a job at left back, he's not a full-time left back. The only reason I see Manchester City actually winning the Premier League this season is a similar reason to why I think Liverpool might win it as well. It's just the fact that they have a world-class manager in Pep Guardiola. I know he gets a lot of stick because he's kind of bought his way out of danger a lot of times, but he's an absolutely world-class manager and nobody can take that away from him. They also have world-class players stacked all around the pitch like Liverpool do as well, so I think that'll be a very interesting thing to see how Manchester City do for the rest of this season, because I stand by the fact that I think they're probably the most unpredictable team in the Premier League. And that's in terms of the fact that I think that they could go out and beat a team 5 or 6-0, or they could go out and lose 2-1 and just look like absolute shite, if I'm being perfectly honest. So Manchester City, I'm very interested to see how they get on in the title race this season. And now we move on to the third team in the Premier League title race, a team that were predicted to do very, very well this season, but so far have had an indifferent start to the season in the Premier League especially, and that is my club Chelsea. Now we spent a lot of money in this summer, I think over 220 million on new talent like the likes of, Ben Chilwell, Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Edouard Mendy and Thiago Silva. And yeah, obviously with that, a lot of people were expecting instant success with Chelsea into this season, but I think if I'm being perfectly honest, in hindsight, that was never going to happen because it's a lot of new players that have to gel into a team which already is filled with a lot of young players. I think it's only fair that we give the Chelsea group of players time to actually gel before we actually see them as proper Premier League title contenders. And don't get me wrong, I think as the season does progress, we will look a lot stronger in all areas of the pitch, and especially when I think this attack actually does click eventually during the course of the season, I think it'll be a very dangerous threat for a lot of Premier League defences. But just so far it hasn't quite happened yet, as we'd probably expect. And another thing as well that I think will hinder us this season is the fact that Frank Lampard only in his third season in his managerial career. Now don't get me wrong, I think that Frank Lampard has actually done quite a lot right as Chelsea manager, but then especially recently there's been a lot of times where I've been like questioning his decisions and being like, what's he doing there? But I think that will come because I think Frank Lampard will be a very good manager in the future, and it will take time for him to gel this Chelsea group together. The signings of Edouard Mendy, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell particularly have pretty much shored up this defence in recent weeks. I mean, we've kept a lot of clean sheets and looked a lot more solid at the back since they've joined, but even still I think this Chelsea defence are very unpredictable and capable of the absolute shambles that we saw against Southampton in that 3-3 draw. And yeah, adding all those points in together, I don't think we're quite ready to challenge for this Premier League title seriously just yet. I think next season will be there and thereabouts, but this season I think it'll be too early to see this Chelsea team challenge the same way the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool will. And the final team I've gone for in this Premier League title race is probably a shock for a lot of you, but I consider them dark horses this season, and maybe it's a bit reactionary because only recently they've actually started to get good results, and that is Tottenham Hotspur under Jose Mourinho. Now there's a lot of things going in the way of Tottenham so far this season. Obviously the fact that Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, two attackers that are on absolutely blistering form at the moment. I think the fact as well that Tottenham have strengthened in a lot of good areas in the summer as well. I mean, I really like the signing of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I think he's the absolute epitome of a Jose Mourinho midfielder, hard working, good on the ball, tenacious, can read danger very well, will run his socks off for the whole 90 minutes. Also bringing back Gareth Bale on the season-long loan was a very good deal as well, because even if he does turn out to be good, they can sign him in a permanent deal. I think Sergio Reguilon as well is a very good left-back signing for them as well. But overall I think that the main hindrance for Tottenham this season in the Premier League title race will be the injury record of the likes of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, even Gareth Bale as well has a very poor injury record. Also, I really kind of don't trust this Tottenham back four just yet. I think they are quite suspect. Even the likes of Davinson Sanchez, Serge Aurier, even Ben Davies at times can be very suspect. And yeah, over the years as well, Tottenham have kind of inherited this sort of bottle job mentality, but I do think they have the manager to kind of get them over that in Jose Mourinho, because he's a born winner. He's a psychological and tactical genius when it comes to management, and I think if any Tottenham manager is going to win the league for them, it will be Jose Mourinho. But yeah, overall I think that there's too many factors going against Tottenham as to why I think they won't win the Premier League, and I think they'll just about come up short just like Chelsea. I don't think they're quite ready for a title challenge just yet, but if they do back Mourinho in the future years, I think they'll have a very good chance. And yeah, so those are my four main Premier League title contenders in the title race for this season. And in terms of other teams that may be considered like underdogs, I think that talk of Everton potentially challenging for the title this season I think is very premature and a bit reactionary in a way as well, because although they haven't been very good at the start, they just don't have enough quality to challenge for the Premier League title just yet. And in terms of other teams, I think Arsenal are probably a mile off at this moment in time. They just look really off the boil. I think Arteta actually is doing quite a good job at there, but if you're talking about them challenging for the title, you're absolutely deluded if I'm honest. I think United actually could challenge this season. I think they have the players going forward to do so, but I just think their defence is too weak, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't really the manager that we would expect a title challenging team to actually have. I think they actually have missed the boat on Jadon Sancho as well. I mean, can you imagine Sancho adding to this United attack that already have the likes of Rashford, Martial, Fernandes, Pogba, Van de Beek, Greenwood? I mean, that is absolutely scary. Okay, verdict time. Who do I think is winning the Premier League in 2021? Now, it's a really tough call, but I'm gonna go for Liverpool. Now, if I'm being perfectly honest, I mean, the reason I've gone for Liverpool is down to nothing more than the process of elimination, because I purely think they're the best of a bunch that are, going to be struggling towards the course of the season. I think City, as I said, just don't look as sharp or as hungry to win the Premier League as they used to under Pep Guardiola. I think Chelsea and Spurs aren't quite ready yet, and obviously I mentioned the other teams are not ready either. And yeah, I think Liverpool will still maintain the determination and overall the quality to claim the Premier League title in 2021. Now, bear in mind, I think whoever does win the Premier League this season won't get near to 90 points like we've seen before. And yeah, that'll bring us to the end of this video now, so make sure to leave down in the comment section below who you think will win the Premier League title this season and why. I'm very interested to see what you guys think on that one. Also, make sure to leave a like on the video, and you know what, we're going to go for a like target for the first time ever on this channel. We're going to go for, let's say, 10 likes, starting off slow. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. We're looking to hit 700 subscribers as soon as we possibly can, so we very much appreciate it if you could help us on that road, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya.